Hello and welcome to the Patreon peek for my interview with Yeremi. This video is only a portion of an extended interview that is over 85 minutes long that you can gain full access to over at my Patreon at patreon.com/angelcakevids. And when you sign up for either the $3 or $5 tier, you will not only gain access to this incredible interview with Yeremi, but you'll also get access to loads of other Patreon exclusive content, like other interviews, weekly live streams, reality TV commentary videos, as well as challenge commentary videos that are not suitable for YouTube, and much more. Real quick before getting to the interview, I want to give a special shout out thank you to Yeremi for making the time and fitting me into his schedule at a very short notice. He was very busy getting prepped and packed, getting ready to travel to do an ultra marathon on Saturday, September 20th, yet he took the time to not only answer my emails, but sit down with me for like 90 minutes to do an interview, and it was just a really fun time to get to meet him, get to know him, his perspectives on the game, and much more. So again, if you would like to see the full interview of Yeremi and all the backstory and incredible stories that he has giving context to the background of his game as well as the game in general and all the other players, please check it out over on my Patreon at patreon.com/angelcakevids. And without further ado, let's get on to the interview. Here with me is a man who puts the amazing in Amazing Race contestant. He can climb, run, swim, and do it all with ease. I'm here with Yeremi. Thank you for talking with me today. How you doing?
Good, man. Thanks, Drew, for having me on, bro. Love your channel. Watched a ton of your videos. I think they're awesome. I love the way that you break things down, and it's an honor to be here, man.
A standard question that I like to ask, and especially with some of the newer players that come onto the show, how familiar were you with the challenge prior to coming on to this season?
Okay, so I was definitely really familiar with the challenge coming on to this season specifically. I started getting into the challenge probably like 2 years ago.
Okay.
And it was after I was done with the Amazing Race. Once I finished the Amazing Race, like more reality TV stuff started to kind of come into my life, and I started to like get to know different shows and things like that. And the challenge was one of them. And I remember watching it. I think the first season that I watched of the challenge was Ride or Dies.
Mm.
And I watched it and I was like, God, I love this show. This thing is so freaking cool. Like the challenges they do are awesome. Like these people have like this grit and this tenacious being to them. And I got hooked into the show like super fast.
Contestants coming from the Amazing Race have not done historically well. What have you felt like you've done differently coming onto this season that made you be able to break sort of that Amazing Race curse that the other representatives weren't able to do?
I'd probably say like two things. And the first one is just like relentless preparation.
Mm-hmm.
And I've told a lot of people this. I told production when I got there, and I still tell people this on interviews, but I spent like a good, probably like 2 months straight before I left, like just living, breathing, reading and watching like the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Like me and my roommate, he's an ex-Marine as well, but he was in the intelligence community. So he is very strategic. And me and him sat down for days, and I'm talking like we binge watch shows. We would pause them on certain episodes and discuss like the allyships and the partnerships and the political side. Like what do you think would be the best move to do right now? What are the possible implications that have come from this, or even from this argument, or from this elimination for calling this person out? That was something that we did for a really long time. And that was just part of the preparation in terms of like watching and really like studying the game, but also like watching highlights of eliminations and studying how the actual game makers put this thing together. Like there are, like any great puzzle, there are always patterns, and there are patterns to the challenge. So if you can like really break the entire game down and understand that from that side, it can help you a lot. And I think that's something that I did. And the other thing is, I think some people might get cast for a show and then start like hitting the grindstone, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And start working out and getting in shape and doing all this kind of stuff. But that's something that I am just doing all year round, because I do like chase and pursue like certain physical accomplishments. Like right now I'm doing ultra marathon running.
Mm-hmm.
And So I just stay ready, dude. I'm ready to go. So I just studied up on everything, got hella into puzzles, practiced all these different like puzzles that might have made me feel uncomfortable before. I just started crushing and doing them. And I feel like it just, bro, Drew, it gave me such like a confidence going in there. Like I did what I needed to do to come here.
It kind of gave me chills. Like I was just like thinking of going through everything that I was going to ask you, and you kind of just already answered one of my questions about like how did you get prepared, and taking that much preparation, it kind of shows just how well you've been able to do on this season so far. In that you've been able to, whatever the challenge has been able to throw at you, whether it be a mountain, whether it be a climbing wall, twisting over a quarry, and everything, that you've been able to take it all in stride. Now, something that I feel like maybe you weren't able to prepare for is having your name thrown out there so early on, which was episode 5. We saw that Derek was going directly into the elimination, and your name kind of stuck, and it all came down to a coin flip after 2 votes. Were you surprised by your name being thrown out there so soon? And what was going through your mind when TJ took out that coin and was like, "We're gonna flip this to see who goes in"?
Oh, dude, that whole episode, that whole time frame in this season was just so freaking stressful for me, bro. It's so hard because in this game, like you go to like a challenge, right? Like a daily, you bust your ass, you do exactly what you need to do, and you don't come in last. And then you feel a sense of relief for like several hours after that, and then you go to like the freaking bar or the club to go, become degenerates, and we freaking go out there, and then I'm hearing my name circulate, and it's just like, oh, it's like the biggest pit of stress in my stomach.
Hmm.
And like I can't believe this is happening, but then I can believe it just because like I knew that I put a target on my back. And this is like something that I feel like continuously happens for rookies, until like people feel that you have been tested, is
Hmm.
that even though you might be smashing dailies or you might be smashing like whatever you might be doing, like they'll always say like, oh, well, who knows if he can perform in elimination? And that's always still a factor of your persona, especially as a rookie going into the game, that people will latch onto.
Hmm.
And and when Derek explained to me, like there was a point where he did pull me aside and he explained to me what he explained to everybody. He was like, I feel like I haven't had a really good game up in this season. And he was trying to be bold, and I get that. And he was like, I would like to go against you because in the end, if I win, I took like the strongest rookie, those are his words, out of this. And if I lose, he's like, I lost to a really good competitor. And in my double-sided brain, where I'm always trying to see everybody's perspective, I'm like, that makes sense. I I understand. You know what I mean? I hate you for putting my game's life in jeopardy right now. But I cannot just hold this hate for you because I can also understand where you're coming from, and it's like somewhat noble.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean it's tough when somebody comes at you with logic in a game like this, because so much of it is just like we're gonna pick on this guy, or we're gonna do this, or we're gonna do that, and then it's like, oh no, you're really good. That's why I want to go up against you. And how can you combat that? You're
I
like,
know. Then you're just like, oh, thank you. So I totally get that, bro. But I'll tell you straight up, Drew. Like it was really uncomfortable. That was like my first taste of like the really like lows of like challenge, anxiety, and fear is in that moment. Like when the nomination was going around, like
mhm,
the whole first round it went and it was a dead tie, and then it came back around, went all the way down, and it was a dead tie again. And that second round where it went and it ended up being a tie again, that was a really big eye opener for me because I really got to see who was like who's gonna fold under pressure when it comes to their
mm,
relationship, right? Anissa was a big one where that day she was like, all right, now that I have to choose, me and her had a pretty good relationship up until that point, and then she said my name instead of Ben's. And I
mhm.
was like, okay, I get that for sure. But that was the first time where I was like, dang, okay. So like the first time you say my name, it makes me feel so much better and able to say your name in the future. And that was my first like instance with that. And then Leka, like that was a big moment for Lecca because Lecca and Gabe were partnered and they
Hmm.
were a swing vote. And Gabe was sitting there, right? And me and Gabe had developed like a really good relationship, like up until this point. But he was like kind of half playing on the UK, half playing on the US. He was definitely playing like in the middle, and he didn't really know where he belonged. But he was really close with me, at least from the beginning of the game. But he was also roommates with Ben. So this dude was just having like the biggest mental, like, I mean, I'm telling you, Drew, when I was sitting, like when we were sitting there, he was like, he could not say anything. He was completely speechless. He could not make a decision.
Yeah.
And that was where Lecca was like, we're just gonna say Ben. And she took that and she defended me. And that was her first like solid action of defense and support for me. And that meant like so much to me, especially at that point, because she was the reason that I didn't end up going in and I was able to at least to make it to a coin flip.
Which Leica plays a huge part in later on, especially in this past week's episode with the Cyclone in episode 8. But I do want to put a pin in that just for now. We see how physical you are in the daily challenges and everything. Never come in last. You've gotten points for most of the daily challenges. You're up in like, I think second, tied for second as of right now in the episode's orders. But as an audience member, I feel like we've gotten to see hints of where your game is at. But can you describe what kind of game you maybe came in trying to play strategically? And did you have to change it as you were going through the game?
The very foundation of my strategy, I took it from season 40.
Hmm.
And I took it from, I hate to say it, but I took it from Bananas.
Wow.
And I really liked what he did with the Charlie's Angels,
Hmm.
right? Because I saw how it worked, right? There's a certain dynamic, especially in a lot of these games, when you're paired, especially in this game, right?
Hmm.
When I'm paired with vet females, like I need to prove worthy to them. I
Hmm.
need them to want to keep me and help me and defend me in this game because ultimately there's a mutual interest here,
Yeah.
right? And I need that, right? And sometimes it can be hard for males to connect with females in that kind of way, but I know that the females' connections in the house, I mean, dog, they are ruthless and
Yeah.
they're the game players, they're the shot callers, bro. You rub one of the girls wrong, you're going down, bro. You know, and so I was like, no, not me. So I knew that for my vet females that I needed them to have somewhat of a desire for me as a
Hmm.
partner in the future, right? Whatever in whatever aspect it might be. And I knew for the rookie females that I was like, I'm not a direct threat with you because I'm not competing with you,
Hmm.
right? So the first person that I ended up meeting was Dee.
Okay.
And I ended up meeting her. I was connected with her through Lewis, who was on a previous challenge, and he said he knew her from Survivor, like a watch party or something. And then he connected us, and we connected, and we talked about running together. Because and like remember, Drew, like everyone's telling me they're gonna eat me, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm so scared going into this game. I was like, I need some friends. I don't know nobody. I don't
Hmm.
know nobody from Survivor. I literally like this entire cast laid out. I didn't know a single person
Oh, wow.
at all, right? So going into the game, the only person I had was D. And I
Mm.
was like, and she was like, okay, like let's run. Like we liked each other's vibes and stuff like that. We laughed a lot when we were talking. So I went in with her, and that was my strategy from the beginning was to surround myself with strong rookie females,
Okay.
right? And I wanted to surround myself with these females because I'm not a direct threat to them,
Hmm.
and they're willing to defend me. And if I have a group of girls defending me, like those girls have other girls,
Yeah.
right? And then I will be a very tight knitted, spot in this defensive manner, and that's exactly what I wanted, right? And that's what I came in with, and it started with me and D, and then I extended like an olive branch to Sydney
Hmm.
because I heard her talk about like being a lawyer, being on Survivor. Anybody who mentions to me that they were on Survivor, I already know they're like a dog,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like you can suffer, you know how to get down, painful, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
painful circumstances, and you've overcome them. So I already have a lot of respect for Survivor, And the second I heard that she was on Survivor, I was like, I'm gonna try to be good friends with her, right? And
Yeah.
I started with that. I extended like a little olive branch to her, and it was actually really funny. We were we were like at the airport, like on the flight to Chile.
Cyclone, episode 8 Cyclone, you get your first daily challenge win alongside Sydney.
Yeah.
Uh, was this as easy as you made it look?
It wasn't that difficult, I guess. I don't know. Like, I don't want to downplay it for a lot of other people, but the fact of the matter is, like, if you know how to climb, it's
Hmm.
not that hard, right?
Hmm.
What's hard about it is definitely the fact that you have to carry a block with you, right? And that will essentially like disable one of your appendages.
Hmm.
Then it kind of depends on, what is your strategy to carrying it, right? I came up with several. Like I thought about one strategy where I carry it between my thighs and I like
Mm.
tighten my legs up on it, and then I use like one of my feet to hop to the next one. That was one thing that I went through. But I think the biggest thing that hindered literally everybody else was their like inability, or I guess just like lack of knowledge when it came to climbing techniques. Like one of
Mm.
the issues that I saw with them, and I'm not even a climbing expert, bro. Like I go to Boulder for fun. You know what I mean? Like, but I've gone for like 3, 4 years, right?
Hmm.
And I've done like a free solo rock climbing on my own,
Oh, wow.
um, which is a lot of fun, but it's like, you know what I mean? Like you have to at least know some type of techniques, which I've just like picked up by asking people like how to do routes at the Boulder gym, right? And they'll be like, "Oh, you got to do this, then hook your heel here." And I'm like, "Oh." Right? And they're like, stop holding everything like this because you're exhausting your biceps.
Hmm.
Like when you need to break, fully extend out. And that's how you do it. That's how you don't like overuse the muscles that will eventually fatigue and like get you to fall off. So that's mainly what I did is I would just take the blocks, and then I ended up like shoving the block between like my bicep and my head, in which I would push it together and
Hmm.
I could still move like this. And that's pretty much how I got up and down so many times using it. And whenever I needed to rest, I just unlocked my elbow and I just like hung off the entire thing, and I just like shuck out my other arm, and then I would replace them and shake out this other arm. And yeah, bro, it ended up getting more difficult towards the end because the technique that I was using to press the block on this head and bicep,
Hmm.
it I had to clench my arm to do it.
Yeah.
So it put a lot of blood and strain onto this arm. But I mean, dude, I could have gotten all five of them. And I was wanting to get all five of them. And the only reason that I couldn't is just because one of them fell into the water. Um, but it was dope, dude. I loved it. I was like, man, like it just really showed me how much technique really, really changes the game for different types of sports. And it just so happened that I've trained in this technique like a good amount of time to be good at it.
So the title of this episode is Justice for Leka. After being there in person on both challenges, the Ruin Your Life challenge and then this challenge, and then watching back, being able to see the confessionals and what everybody is saying, like outside of just being in the rooms with everybody. What is your perspective on if CT threw the challenge or not to get Leka sent into the elimination?
Nice, nice. Okay. So I guess I'll kind of break this into two parts, my perspective there and then my perspective now,
Okay,
right?
perfect.
Pretty much like this, like me watching this Cyclone thing was kind of like this somewhat pivotal change in me and CT's relationship.
Hmm.
There were actually several things that happened, right? The thing with Leka happened for one. Two, it was the night that my name was going around the bar when Jake and Michaela had won. That was the night where the next day was my split flip a coin nomination.
Yeah.
That night, I sat next to Jake and Leo, and CT came down and sat down with us, and I was just talking to them, right? Just talking.
Hmm.
And he was like, Yeremi, I just saw you were over there talking to Sydney on the side. And I was like, and I was sitting there just before I came here. And I was like, yeah, I was. And he was like, what were you guys talking about? I was like, just probably just talking about the game, right? Because
Hmm.
we were talking about why my name's going around, and we were talking about the game, and he was like, "Oh," and I was like, "Yeah, we were just talking about the game." He was like, "Yeah, well, what about the game?" I was like, "Just about the game." You know what I mean? I was like, "You're not gonna probe me into like, spilling my guts out here." He was like, I heard you guys were over there scheming on getting everybody else out and making it to the final, just you and Sydney." And I was like, and like he said this to me in front of Jake and Leo. And I was like, what are you doing? And I immediately had to like defend myself and be like, I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm allowed to have conversations with people about the game as you do as well. But
Hmm.
I don't know what this little weird call out thing is that you're trying to accomplish right now. The second thing that he did was, so
Mm.
I have like three strikes against this guy in which I'm like, your game's not jiving with me. But we're doing this cyclone and I'm watching him swim away and and everybody's chanting like justice for Lecca, right? And
Yeah.
I'm like watching him in the water with everybody just chanting uh this over him. And like part of me was like, yeah, you're getting what you deserve. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's the cynical part of me. But the other part of me was like, I feel bad for
Hmm.
him. I'm like, even though like I don't know, bro. Like he's a sweet guy. He's a nice guy. He's a hard player, but he's a nice guy. And I was like if something felt uncomfortable for me to watch somebody kind of be ostracized,
Yeah.
right? And when we finished that challenge and he came up, like nobody came up to congratulate him or anything. So I walked up to him and I was like, "Hey, dude," I was like, I was like, "Good job, you did your best." And he was actually like very like he was very appreciative and he was like, "Thank you." He was like, "Seriously, man, thank you for coming up. Like that was hard and like nobody said anything to me." And after that, me and him actually started getting way closer to each other, but it wasn't with the game. As a person, I've worked out with you. I've learned about your family. I've learned about your son, about the things that you guys do to bond. He learned about me, about my mother, about the reason that I'm here. And we started hanging out like separately, never talking about game ever again. But we would talk about anime together. We would talk about like these, like I would talk to him about like Attack on Titan. He would, I'd explain a bunch of stuff to him. He would ask me about all these different animes. We ended up like creating like this really kind friendship in there to the point where I started supporting him as a person
Hmm.
in the situations he as a player was put in that I would then all as well help him get there, right? Like I was still going to vote for you, but I will support you as a friend in whatever you're going through.
Was the decision to go for Derek C an easy one between you and Sydney? Like, how was the conversation to determine who you were going to pick?
When it came to that vote for me and Sydney, it was definitely obvious from the beginning. I was like easily choosing a vet all day.
Hmm.
Like it had vet's name written all over it. They knew it, we knew it. It was all cool, right? That's why the vote went so smoothly, is because everybody knew what was happening. I came back to the house and my original positions for people that I was gonna choose was definitely Derek C and Derek K.
Hmm.
Right. And the reason it was for Derek K, which you guys definitely haven't seen, is there was a conversation that I had in the beginning of the game. Like I told you, I had my main alliance, right? The Janes and the Tarzan. I had my three girls that I wanted. And then I started essentially going to vet females. And I would talk to the vet females and I would kind of get a solid few that I 100% could trust. It was like Nani, Aviv, Michaela, right?
Hmm.
And I was like, okay, I have rookie girls I can really trust. I have vet girls I feel like I can really trust. Ain't no vet man want to talk to me, right, in the
Yeah.
beginning. But I ended up playing pool with Derek K. Everybody ended up leaving, and me and him ended up having a conversation. And I was trying to tell him then, I was like, hey, man, I literally told him that. I was like, hey, I'm kind of trying to build relationships with people in a way that I feel like I can trust them. And you're a really good competitor for on the vet male side. I was like, I think you're like a really good guy there. And I told him, I was like, and I haven't gotten pretty much anything given to me by any of the other vet males, and none of them come over and want to chop it up with me. None of them want to talk story with me or anything like that. But he had, right? Me and him
Hmm.
had talked a little bit previously about like my family, his family, like we got to know each other a little bit.
Mhm.
So I told him that, and I was like, I feel like you're the only one who was a little bit like more like foregoing to me. And because of that, I'd love to add you to like my plate of people that I feel like I can trust in here. He was like, I would super appreciate that. You know what I mean? He was like, I'd love to add you to mine, like as somebody I can trust. You're really good in this game. I was like, thanks, bro. You too, you too. I felt good, right? And then we get to, I don't even know, one of the votes where he votes for me.
Mhm.
And I was like, you, and he did that. And I was like, I was like, you're for that. Um, but then there was Derek C, who, you know, arguably had a worse thing that he did to me, which was gather everybody to try and vote for me. So it was both of their names. And the deciding factor of it was the conversation that you saw that I had with D, right?
Mhm.
In that conversation, Dee was telling me, she was like, okay, well, I would rather you keep Kaczynski here.
Hmm.
And I think at that point, I might have been more leaning towards voting for Kaczynski, maybe than Derek Chavez. I'm not really sure, but
Yeah.
she was the lowest, and the only other male that she could be with that would be a good competitor and would work with our alliance, you know, like our group alliance moving forward, was going to be Kaczynski.
You talked about how many times you watched a whole bunch of seasons, eliminations, daily challenges, and everything. How did the pole wrestle feel compared to watching it on TV to actually being there watching the CT versus Derek pole wrestle?
Dude, it was awesome. I have got to say, there were things that I liked about it, and there were things that I didn't like about it. The thing that I liked about it is that it's a hand-to-hand physical elimination, and that is just like it's nitty-gritty, right? Like you're coming out for blood, like it's road rules that anything goes. And I love seeing that. And that's exactly what we saw down there. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
any way you can get it, right? And if it hurts the other person and they're screaming and they're like, they're screaming like they're hurting, then let go.
Hmm.
Like you should let go if it hurts, right? And
Yeah.
just tell them that. And I love that about the pole wrestle is that it's so physical. And I have like this warrior mentality and this warrior ethos that I've definitely gotten from the Marine Corps, right? Where there's nothing more like glorified than a hand-to-hand combat with
Hmm.
another male, right? And I love that about the pole wrestle, and I have loved that through all of the seasons is just getting to see ferocity like getting taken out like in the sand, right? That's like one of my favorite things about like Derek and Joss's
Hmm.
legendary pole like pole wrestle that they did, or I think it was a ring wrestle. I love seeing people with that competitive fire, and that's exactly what the pole wrestle was like seeing it, and that's exactly what it is like. The only thing that I didn't like about it was the matchup.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? It was CT and it was Derek Chavez, and like Derek Chavez is like 180 and
Yeah.
CT's like 250. So it wasn't like, they edited it well for it to
Hmm.
look like a good little fight, but it was just like it was a hammer, bro. I mean,
Yeah.
CT, that boy big as hell. I wouldn't want to be down there doing it, but
I do want to ask real quick before we sail off. There's been a lot of criticisms over the course of the last couple of seasons from the audience when talking about rookie players coming onto the show. There's been a lot of criticisms of recent rookies. How does it feel to be a part of what some are saying is the most fun, most exciting rookie newcomers that we've gotten in quite some time? That people are like really starting to like I don't know. It's interesting because so many of the challenge audience always leans towards the vets, but it almost feels like this season in particular, like everybody seems to be like rooting for the rookies and wanting to see them like compete and everything. How does that make you feel being a fan and then coming onto the show and kind of seeing the fandom kind of like really latch on to the rookies and seeing how everybody competes?
I love it, man. And you know what? And like my perspective when it comes to the fandom, the challenge community, The love that I get, as well as the hate that I get, that everybody gets, is I love it all, bro. I think both the fire and the ice that this community has is what makes the challenge the challenge. Is what makes it so great. It's what will bring these polarizing characters together, and I love that the community is being able to appreciate that with a lot of these new faces because a lot of them have a ton of strengths, right? And
Mhm.
a ton of strengths, a ton of weaknesses. They take in a bunch of their skills and characteristics derived from all these other shows and experiences that they've come through, and they're able to bring it here. And there's like, Leo with comedic relief. You know what I mean? You have like Adrienne and Izzy had this bolstering boldness for their UK alliance that they had, right? Sydney is like the cockiest girl you've ever met, but every time she speaks, you laugh and you love it, right? Dee is so spicy. Justin's hilarious. Cedric's so good. Will is so good. I mean, there's so many. There's so many rookies on the show that really deserve the flowers for everything that they do and everything that they've brought here. But it's amazing to see. Like I don't just love when I get the love, right? I love seeing people love on Gabe or Sydney or anything like that. You know what I mean? And I appreciate it every single time that it happens, and it continues to reassure me how amazing this show is. And the reason that the show is so amazing is because the community, the audience, the fans, I'm part of that, share such a passion for how incredible this show is. So I just love it, dude.
That is such a great note. Unfortunately, I feel like we have to end it because the hour turned into 83 minutes. So I just want to say,
Time, bro, dude. Time flies when you're having fun, bro.
I know. I just want to say thank you so much for being so generous with your time and sitting down with me for this long. This has been so eye-opening, and it's been such a great opportunity to get to talk to you, hear your perspective, and some of the behind the scenes. Before I say goodbye, I do want to give you the floor to say how people can maybe like search for you, your Instagram, your social media, as well as any other projects that you might be wanting for people to check out. I would like to give you that space here now.
Awesome. Thank you, Drew. Well, for anyone who's watching and wants to either follow my lifestyle, follow and see the things that I do, the places I go, or the things that I compete in, you could always follow me on Instagram. It's literally just Yeremi.Hykel. I am also going to the Over the Edge Celebrity Weekend in December, and it's something in which I'm starting to do some fundraising for a veteran nonprofit organization called Valscar Motorsports, and they essentially raise money to invite veterans out to the racetrack and spend a weekend being part of the pit crew, racing around with a bunch of veterans, and it's to help them through like adrenaline PTSD therapy. So if you follow me, that's going to be my fundraising efforts for like the next couple months. And if any of you guys want to donate to support veterans or donate to that cause, you absolutely can. You can find it on my page. But again, Drew, I appreciate it so much, man. Thank you for coming on here. I love watching your podcast. The breakdowns are always so sweet, and it's just an honor, bro. I'll always come back.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And that just means the world to me to hear that you like the content that I make. I put a lot into it. And just thank you again for being incredible, being so quick to respond, as well as sitting down with me so short notice to talk about this episode and everything. And I really appreciate it. This was an incredible interview, and I appreciate it. And I hope you have a great day.
Thank you so much, Drew. Peace, brother. I'll catch you later.